more credit. Now we can use our house as a piggy bank. This is sweet. Don't worry. Be happy. Remember, it was only 4 or 5 years ago when every major television station had some version of that show, Flip This House. This show would lead you to believe you could buy a house, put a couple of coats of paint on it, put a back porch on it, and sell it for $30,000 to $50,000 more, and you could do that every couple of weeks. Unfortunately, you never saw a show called Whoops, I'm Stuck with This House, and I owe the bank a ton of money. The powers that be never want us to see the downside of this craziness. They want us to not worry and to be happy. If you're as old as I am, you can think back over the years and remember how you used to be treated by large corporations. There was a time when a dissatisfied customer was dangerous to a corporation. Corporations would go out of their way to make you happy. That was a time when we had unions. That was a time when the government fought for us. Now unions are nearly gone the way of the dodo bird. They've been crushed out of existence by corporations who care more about money and the bottom line than they do about keeping customers. They've been crushed out of existence by politicians who are in the back pockets of these corporations. Airlines don't mind keeping you on the tarmac for 3 or 4 hours just to make sure that their schedules are on time because you don't matter. Food processing corporations don't mind if you have a little salmonella in your salad because you don't matter. We've been told that we don't need to keep those pensions. We can give up those pensions because they're too expensive for corporations. And we can make more money if we set up these 401ks and 403bs. The joke was on us. When the stock market was taking a nosedive every couple of years, dropping 500 points today, you can only make money in the stock market if you're on the in crowd, not like all of us who are on the outside looking in. When we pay our healthcare premiums for years just to have some bureaucrat tell us that we don't qualify for a particular life-saving treatment because it's not about us and our life-saving treatment, it's about the money. That's when you realize you're no more than a pile of money to most of these politicians and corporations. It's hard to sit around and sing, don't worry, be happy. We've been asleep. As the American people, we've been asleep for the last 30 years. Our culture has been crumbling around us. It is time for us to focus, to think, and to act. Let me say that again. It's time for us to focus, to think, and to act. This is exactly what happened in Wisconsin. The political machine was working for the corporations and for the politicians. Suddenly, without warning, with people power, it began ever so slowly to begin to work for us. The take-home lesson from Wisconsin isn't that the state Senate didn't turn Democratic. The take-home lesson is that all Wisconsin politicians live in fear that people can and will vote them out of office.
Yeah! Let's fire it out.
It is time for us to focus. It is time for us to think. And it's time for us to act. If we think about government spending, which has been in the news the last 3 months, we need to understand that government spending equals 25% of our GDP. Therefore, any cuts to government spending means cuts to jobs. We need jobs. We need the government to spend money to stimulate growth. We need to repair our schools. We need to lay internet cable throughout the country so that every neighborhood can have access to high-speed internet. We need affordable health care. We need affordable health care not in 3 or 4 years, but we need it today. We need affordable health care which can be accessed by any American today. We need the corporate media to try to quit distracting us with these cute videos of a skunk with his head in a Skippy jar and telling us about famine in Somalia. There are people here in the United States who are living out of their cars. That's what's important to me. That's what's important to us. We are what's important. We need jobs. I'm not talking about minimum wage jobs. I'm talking about living wage jobs. We cannot sit around and wait for the private sector to deliver the jobs that we want. We need to push the government. We need to push the private sector to give us the jobs that we need, the jobs that we deserve. If we've learned one thing over the past 30 years, it's we have to drive the bus. Now we have the tools to easily organize rallies just like these. We need to take to the streets. We need to guide the political process. We need to push the process from both the outside and the inside with politicians like Patsy Keever. Policies that are good for us, the American people. These are the policies that are good for America. We need jobs. It is time for us to focus, to think, and to act. Thank you.
Dr. Eric Thompson. Tune in tomorrow at 3 o'clock to Local Edge Radio, and he'll be on the air, reiterating a lot of what he talked about today. I know, Randy, you wanted to say a couple of things real quick.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank Mark Case and the AFL-CIO for bringing us a sound system. AFL-CIO. Yeah, Mark is going to be talking just a little while. The AFL-CIO was sort of a co-sponsor of this event, so really happy to have their involvement and see all the labor folks out today. And along those lines, I was just talking with Stephen, who's going to be our bird dog point person, and he wanted me to give you guys just some quick numbers. A public school teacher, if I get them right, public school teacher makes an average of $32,000 a year. A soldier serving in Iraq makes $38,000. A congressperson makes $170,000, and the Speaker of the House makes $220,000 per life, a year for life. So we need to understand the context of. Yeah, really. And what I wanted to, the other thing, if I can remember, the other thing I wanted to tell you was, if you're taking pictures, if you're shooting video, please keep doing it. And please send those to, you can go to moveon.org and find a link there. If you registered for the rally, you'll get an email tonight, probably asking you how things went and asking you to submit photos and videos. Move On is, Anna. Oh boy. I didn't do anything. Move On, probably hit the mic button. Move On is in the process of creating its own media service, its own news service, because we often get media, and we did have a freelance photographer here today. He's a stringer for local media and for AP and UPI, so we will probably get coverage of this. We often get WLOS. We didn't get them today. We often get Citizen Times. I don't think we got them today.
We're not teabaggers, that's why.
Yeah. Got it. And so we've decided, you know, we can't always count on the corporate media and the other media to get our own message out. We need to get our own message out ourselves. So Move On is in the process of setting up its own online news service, and those photos and videos will be a part of that. And with that, let me find.
Okay, Mountain Express is here, by the way. They're locally owned, not the corporate media. Randy mentioned that Mark Case will be speaking next, and I just have to say, I'm learning more and more each day about the importance of unions to this country. Fought a long, hard fight to get established at the turn of the last century, and worked very hard for our 40-hour work week, our benefits, vacation time, to end child labor. Can you ever believe that we had child labor in this country? The corporations didn't end child labor. The big businesses didn't end child labor. Unions ended it. And for the last 30 years, as other industrialized nations have improved their benefits, shortened their work weeks, increased their vacation time, our big corporate interests have been fighting unions and trying to decimate them and weaken them. And because of that, we haven't made any more gains, really, in the last 30 years compared to other industrialized nations. We need to bring unions back to get this country in line with the rest of the world. And we need to bring them back in a real way. But some of them never left, and one of them is Mark Case, AFL-CIO.
Hey, everybody. Glad to see so many people out here late in the afternoon. Appreciate it. I kind of wrote this during lunch and break and then run off work and come up here, switch shirts, change jobs. I work at the post office. I'm a clerk and a member of the APWU, Western North Carolina Central Labor Council president. And I just want to deliver a thank you from the 4,000 plus union members that are associated with our Central Labor Council in Western North Carolina. in addition to the thousands of others in the area associated with the National AFL-CIO, both working and retired. Thank you for participating, and thank you for standing up for working men and women. 5 points. I want to make 5 points, and I'll stop it at there because I can talk all day when I get on a roll. If you get passionate enough about this, and if what's going on in this country ain't got the passion built up in you, something's wrong. Point number 1, the worst things. Larry Sorrells is back there. He's the state APW president. When I first started in the union, he told me one thing. He said the worst thing a man can do, or a woman, working people, is not have a job. There's more evil comes from not having a job than anything else, folks. Crime rate goes up, bills go unpaid, bankruptcy, foreclosures, no food, no health care. Not only do these affect the unemployed, they affect the underemployed. A lot of thought don't go that route. You know, those national unemployment figures, they are bad. But what is even worse, when you think of the workers that left good union jobs, left good manufacturing jobs, they're now working at lower paying jobs. They're not sustaining their family like they used to could. And they're having a hard time. And even the people with a good job, and I consider myself a good job. You raise a wife and 2 kids, you're hurting. You're hurting. Costs during this time did not go down. They've cut jobs, but they ain't cut costs. It costs as much today or more to live than it did 5, 10, whatever you want to go back.
Corporate profits go up.
Yeah.
They don't come down. That's right.
But folks, when you hear people talk about good jobs, or talk about making jobs, it's not just jobs, okay? You can make a job paying somebody $1 an hour digging a ditch. Don't count that as a job. What we want are good jobs, sustainable wage level jobs. Number 2, and this is for the environmentalists out there. The union's been working with environmental groups around on what the unions can do for environmental. Where did the good jobs go? The unions and workers in the United States manufacturing were getting killed, hurt, sick, air and water became polluted. The workers and the communities came together, stood together, calling for increased safety regulations for both workers and factories to keep both the workforce and the environment safe. We did that. We pushed for it. We were getting there. What did the rich owners and CEOs do? Instead of cutting into their profit margins to make them come into compliance or pay a wage, they moved their factories overseas. We are now killing foreign workers, men, women, and children, polluting the environment that blows right back over here, and they're creating inferior products from these overseas companies that are still coming into the United States. And company CEOs are still lining their pockets with an unbelievable wage increase themselves. And I had to explain this to my family. I got Republicans in my family too, probably about the only Democrat in there besides my wife and boys. The production cost of a product is the same no matter where it's made. When you hear people say it's cheaper to make it overseas, it is not. The production cost, I don't care, that robot works on the same electricity, takes a second to make whatever it is. Production costs are the same, as long as they're made under U.S. safety regulations. That's the kicker part. Worker fair share is what they're dealing with. Human rights. This is where the real story lies. Profit margin. Have and have not. Same old fight, folks. It's been going on since the beginning of the time. Is the U.S. broke? It depends on who you look at. If you look at a worker, yes, this country's broke because our workers ain't getting paid what they should be paid. Company owners, CEOs, Wall Street, they're better off than they've ever been. Ever. In this horrible climate, they're better off than they've ever been. CEOs, Wall Street, whatever, it used to be a 30-to-1 pay differential. Okay? It is now 300 to 1. The United States is #1 in billionaires. There's 396 billionaires in the United States today. #2 is China, and China has 72. So where is the money? The money, the wealth is in this country, folks. It's just not in the workers and the community.
That's right.
It's in a select few.
That's right.
They've got it where they want it. That is the true diversity and downfall of this country. Will the workforce, no matter what the political party is, rise up to fight? We've got a lot of people on the wrong side of the tracks. I don't care if you're Tea Party, Republican, Democrat, you stand for yourself, your family, your job, and a way to support that job and your family. #3, the battle's not new. Like I said, it's gone on since the beginning of time. We look through history, and it's been a fight for everything we've had. We had to fight to get it. Unions were formed, people stood up for themselves, and the nation and the workforce prospered. Greed set in with the owners, CEOs, workforce, Wall Street, more profit margins could be had.